You thought leaving would end it. Instead, the control just found an entirely new delivery system, and it has your child's name written all over it. I'm Cheryl Serig, National Board Certified Forensic Mental Health Evaluator and licensed psychotherapist, and I have watched this pattern play out in family court more times than I can count. The pickup that's always 15 minutes late so that you're always the one who looks unreasonable. The messages that go through the child instead of to you so that anything you say back looks like you are fighting in front of them. The sudden concern about your parenting that only ever surfaces right before a court date. A mother that I am going to describe to you is built from a pattern that I have seen repeatedly. She spent 2 years documenting every single late pickup, every coach comment that her son repeated back to her in words that were not a 6 year old's vocabulary or words or statements, every filed complaint to child services that went absolutely nowhere because there was absolutely nothing to find. Each one of them looked minor, but together they were a campaign. And by the time she got in front of a judge, she looked absolutely exhausted, defensive, and a little erratic. And that is exactly what 2 years of manufactured chaos would leave anyone looking like. He, meanwhile, showed up looking calm, reasonable, and completely patient, endlessly patient. He just sat there like this was just what he was doing for his kids because he's a good dad. That contrast was not an accident. It was the entire strategy that had been planned. Abusers weaponize children because children are the one channel that a protective order or injunction usually doesn't fully close. And this abuse continues to show up as manufactured custody disputes designed specifically to drain the other parent's money and credibility at the same time. It shows up as coaching a child in their own language, in the parent's spoken language, using vocabulary that adults use. And you know it because when the child comes home or comes back, they use words and statements and sentences that sound just like the other parent. And then it shows up as false reports to the very systems that were designed to protect children, filed specifically because a mother's safety is often treated as separate from her child rather than tied to it. And I actually had one viewer who pointed that out. And what she said was society does not view a mother as equal to her children or equal to the crisis that she is facing. If helping the children happens to help the mother too, the system tends to accept that. But more often, the system inflicts direct harm on the mother in the process. I think the person who left that comment did a really good job at putting that all together in words. And it is something that I have witnessed myself. Abuse of the system. I see it constantly and continuously. It is like using the law to further abuse somebody. So if you are the parent on the receiving end of this and you're being painted as unstable for reacting to years of manufactured chaos, you did not cause the conflict that you're now being blamed for. A parent defending herself and her children against a coordinated pattern is not the source of the pattern. This is one of the cruelest parts of coercive control operating through children. And it's specifically designed so that your protective instincts, the very thing making you a good parent, are the things that are used as evidence against you. And unfortunately, children absorb more of this than either parent usually realizes, even when they're shielded from the worst of it. Because a child who's learned that one parent's mood determines the emotional weather of the whole house grows into an adult who scans every room they enter the same way. That's not something that a custody schedule fixes on its own. It's something that needs to be actually named to the child in an age appropriate language so that they don't spend the next 20 years thinking that scanning is just what love requires. If you're watching this as a parent and something in this episode just made your stomach drop because you recognized yourself, not the villain of the story, but a moment where you used guilt or silence or your own child as leverage without fully realizing what you were doing, most, not all, but most parents are genuinely doing the best they can with what they were given. And recognizing a mistake is not the same thing as being the pattern that this episode is describing. That recognition is the beginning of the repair that your child needs from you. So take some real time to reflect on what shifted in you today and what you can do differently starting right now. That said, this awareness does not erase what's already happened, and it doesn't entitle you to a pass from the child who has lived through this. They get to feel whatever they feel on their own timeline, not on yours. Your job right now is the reflection and the change, not the reassurance. Also, custody conflict is not automatically coercive control. Divorce is genuinely hard on everyone, and disagreements about parenting and schedules and money happen in almost every separation. And that doesn't mean that they're abusive. What I'm describing is a pattern used specifically to punish or control a parent through a child, not the ordinary frictions that two households learning to co parent have. This is a very specific kind of control. And so I've got the three questions for you. Don't forget, you can do these with your therapist, do them with somebody that you trust, or you can do them on your own, whatever feels comfortable to you. So the first question to ask yourself is: are the conflicts about your children resolving over time? Or is the same fight just changing shapes, getting renamed and returning? Question two: does your child's language in anger sometimes sound like it belongs to somebody else? And what does that tell you that they're hearing when you're not there? And question number three: are you keeping records because you're anxious or because you've learned that you have to? Those are two very different things. So take your time, think about the questions. You could answer them in your head, you could answer them on paper, whatever is safe for you to do. If this video described something that you have lived, share it with the one person that you're thinking about right now that you've been trying to explain it to, but they don't quite understand. Or share it with somebody who's been trying to explain it to you and now it finally makes sense. Don't forget, if you want to see the rest of the series, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, do whatever feels best for you. All right, next up is coercive control has a price tag and how this pattern shows up in money and financial safety. I will see you there.